Leve. Hello.
Hello.
Yep. This is good now. Let me share the screen. Just kindly confirm that are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we're able to see
Yeah,
you.
that's great. That's great. So our issue is resolved. So without wasting time, we have to start. Okay. Yes. So I just allow the participants. So before starting, let me introduce myself. I'm Mitali, a trainer from Complete Open Source Solution. I'm working as a solution architect as well. I did my certification basically on this OpenShift platform 3.5, 3.9, with the latest one is 4.5. Regularly, I'm delivering this OpenShift training and automation toolset, Ansible, Puppet. Okay, and definitely, as I said, prerequisite is nothing but our prerequisite is nothing but our Linux operating system. So definitely, I also upgraded myself in the RHEL 8 latest one with the Ansible technology and with the I can say the container things are included. Okay, so this is all about me. So let's start our session. Is it fine? Screen is visible. Can anyone confirm me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So what exactly the Red Hat OpenShift? I just make a tagline here. I get some chat. Let me check once. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Moses, for your update. So here, Red Hat OpenShift is nothing but the smartest way to develop and deploy containerized application. Okay, so the tagline I maintain here, the smartest way to develop and deploy containerized application. So let me take you to the next slide. What is containerized? What is the containerized application? What the container is? So today our discussion is course objective is what is OpenShift, why OpenShift, the declarative architecture, and the imperative versus the declarative commands. What are the OpenShift resources and what are the driving factors? Okay, to run this OpenShift, this all gather our course objective. Let me move to the next slide. What is OpenShift? So before I am starting what is OpenShift, I just update you what exactly the containerized application before we are switching to what is the definition of OpenShift. So what is a container? Please, because this is an interaction section, you people also participate. What you understand, what is container? Because 5-10 years back, people are working on the traditional operating system, people are working on the virtualization. Please, those students are not asking anything, go mute, go mute. I can get some voice echo. Okay, thank you, Moses. Okay, so now what exactly the container is, we have to understand why we are switching to this containerized application. So what do you think? Any idea? What exactly the containers? Any participants? What is virtualization? Because virtualization, I hope all of you know. Yes?
We can run one application with a very small size. Like in one single hardware, we can run multiple applications with less size.
Absolutely correct. Okay, so virtualization is nothing but, you can say, on top of single operating system, you can run multiple operating systems simultaneously, and the task is isolated from each other. So why we are switching to the containerized application, and why the tagline it's maintained that OpenShift is nothing but its easiest way to deploy the application in a deploy, which type of deploy and develop which type of application, containerized application. So I just tell the definition. As a operating system perspective, you people are working as a system admin. So system admin perspective, what is the definition of container? Then I will explain you as a developer perspective, because real time when you are working in an organization, either you are working in a developer teams, or DevOps tools, some tools you are using, or you can working as a system admin, means you can working as a operational team, and sometimes you are giving the technical support. So containerization means 5-10 years back we deploy the application onto the physical host. You can see the picture in this slide. I just compare traditional process what we did in 5-10 years before. In the right side I mentioned the virtualization, and in the middle I share the screen for what? In the middle I just show you what exactly the container is. So 5-10 years back, you can see the this left side one, okay, and you just match my words with that. 5-10 years back we deploy the application on top of the physical host. Then we are moving towards the virtualization. Virtualization is nothing but top of the virtual machine we deploy the application, top of the virtual machine. So what is virtual machines you people are using in Linux? Who is the software provide the virtualization? Hypervisor. Yes or no? KVM, kernel virtual machine hypervisor. Windows operating system, you people are familiar with the VMware, Oracle VirtualBox. So similar way, from the traditional process we are moving towards the virtualization. So what is container? So different people are having the mindset that container is nothing but a Docker. Container English terminology, what exactly that? Okay, container is nothing but a box, okay, which carry some goods, that is called container. Enclosed box is called container. Yes or no? Okay, so how I define and how I differentiate why we are moving the virtualization towards the container. I just tell the definition in 3 perspective. As a operating system perspective, just some time before a quick introduction round, we just discuss with each other. Okay, we know Linux operating system. We did our certification in RACSA in 6 version, 7 version, 8 version, whatever version. So operating system perspective, if someone asks, define me what exactly the container, simply you can say container is just a process which is running inside a sandbox, and container processes are completely isolated from the host operating system. So what is the term host operating system refers here? The host operating system term refers your physical machine, okay. The host operating system terms refer here your physical machine. It is referred to the virtual machine, or you can say any private cloud or public cloud based instance. Container basically deploy anywhere. So operating system perspective, you can say container is just a process, okay. Container is just a process which is running inside the sandbox, and container processes are isolated from the host operating system. Host operating system means you can run the containers on the physical machine, on top of virtual machine, or any cloud environment. Clear? Next. So can anyone ask me how the container processes are, because it is running on the host operating system, so how the processes are isolated from each other? So the processes are isolated from each other with the Linux kernel feature that is called namespace. So container process isolation from the host operating system is done with the namespace. Second is what? Who will manage the resources when we create a container? If you create a container in your Linux operating system, or you can say any virtual machine, or you can say any private or public cloud, your container consume some memory, consume some CPU, consume some storage. So who will manage the container resources? The container resources are managed by C group or control group. Next is what? Last is security. Who gives the security to my container files, to my container folders, or to my container some application running with some port number? So there SC Linux feature comes into the picture, because as a operating system perspective, you people are easily defined what is process, what is SC Linux. Okay, so SC Linux, secure enhanced Linux, give you the mandatory access control security, internal security to the container ports, to the container files, to the container folders. So you can define as a operating system perspective, container is just a process. Clear? Next I come to what? I change my definition now as a system admin perspective. As a system admin perspective, container is just an application. Okay, container is just an application. Application can be Java. What is application? Application can be Java, application can be Perl, application can be Node.js, or you can say, can the application is any database application? Yes, MySQL database, PostgreSQL database. Okay, so which these application which is portable on different environment. Application can be deployed on the physical machine, virtual environment, as I said, private or public cloud-based environment. So here you just note a point that portability. Portability is the beauty of container. Portability means what? We can build and ship the container anywhere, anytime. Okay, so portability means what? We can build and ship the container because it is a very lightweight process. It's in the virtualization is what? Virtualization is nothing but on top of your host operating system, you require one hypervisor, you required one like KVM hypervisor or VMware. Again, you install a operating system. Virtual machine is nothing but what? One new operating system you are running. Clear my point? But in case of container, what you did on top of it, just the container not share the hardware level, it share the Linux kernel feature. On top of host operating system, the containers are running, it share the host operating system. It is not installing another operating system, or okay, it is not installing another operating system. If you go for virtualization, okay, operating system is required, binaries, libraries, dependency, everything. So it is very heavyweight. Okay, but container is a lightweight. Why? It is sharing the Linux kernel feature, and the beauty of container is what? Portability. Portability is the beauty of container, means we can build, ship the container anywhere, anytime as it is required. Low footprint hardware as compared to the virtualization. So low footprint hardware means what? It consume very less resources, CPU, memory, virtual machine, etc. So this is the way we can define container is a application as a system admin perspective. Next to that, what is the definition? How a developer can define what exactly the container is. So the developer perspective is how you are packaging the application. I want to deploy. Okay, it support multiple languages, databases, XYZ thing. But my job is how you are packaging the application, how you are building the application, means how you are defining the code dependency, how you are building the images Images means what? Images having a universal format. Either it is a custom image, application image, or you can use what? Docker files. Those who are exposed to Docker, they know. Okay, I want to write a Docker file. Docker file is nothing but you are using the Linux commands over there. Okay, it's not a big deal what exactly if I don't know Docker. No problem at all. So Docker, some people having a mindset that Docker is a container. But remember that Docker is not a container. You cannot say like this. Docker is a tool. Using Docker, we are managing the containerized application. We are using Docker login. We are using Docker pull the images from the registry to build our container. Docker push. Okay, so we can create the image, Docker build. So Docker is a tool. Okay, so developer perspective, you can define how you are packaging the application, how we are building the application, means how we define the code dependency. Clear? So this is all you can define and distinguish between containers and virtualization. Is it fine? Let me proceed to the next. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have any doubt, you can put in the chat box. Again, I will explain. I will touch that part. Okay. So no need to worry. Next. I just move to my next slide. So what is this course objective I just mentioned here? This is a complete 3 days of training with exam certification. Okay, so in the day one, what we have to discuss in Red Hat OpenShift, what exactly OpenShift I will explain with a high level overview of what OpenShift is. So this is a complete 3 days of training. We have to complete. These are the things in our course curriculum. Day one, we have to know what Red Hat OpenShift container platform. Next, we have to verify the cluster. Okay, we are exposing what are the installation method of advanced OpenShift 4.x onwards. Okay, earlier version we are using some YAML file. We are running it. Predefined files are there. We are configuring it. Now there is various platform on top of AWS, on top of your VMware, on top of your bare metal. How to install OpenShift? We have to verify the cluster. Next, we have to discuss authentication, and we have to discuss the what are the OpenShift resources. I am just exposing to you in my next slide. Okay, what are the networking, how to manage our OpenShift cluster, how to scale our application. So 9 chapters are there, and three chapter each day we have to discuss in our course curriculum. Next, so before I am distinguish this, what exactly the OpenShift? Now we know something about the container. So OpenShift is a Red Hat open source container application. Red Hat open source. I'm using a word open source because you people are familiar with this. So OpenShift is Red Hat open source container application platform for developing and hosting enterprise grade application of various cloud computing model such as IaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and service as a service. Okay, or you can say software as a service. So OpenShift is what? OpenShift is Red Hat platform as a service offering. So what is platform as a service? What is platform as a service? Means infrastructure is ready. Okay, developer come with that source code and deploy the application. So OpenShift is Red Hat platform as a service offering. Once deployed, OpenShift will take care of managing the underlying infrastructure components, thereby enabling the developers. They do what they can do the best. Okay, so platform is ready. Okay, OpenShift will manage the underlying infrastructure components, thereby enabling the developers. The developers are open to do what they can do the best. So OpenShift comes in 4 different flavors. First one is what? OpenShift Origin. OpenShift Origin, which is the original upstream open source project. Okay, open source open source application container platform. From these, all other models are derived. Okay, so OpenShift Origin is nothing but the original upstream open source project of Red Hat. Second is what? OpenShift Online. OpenShift Online, we discuss in our class more about this. So just for a quick introduction, I am telling OpenShift Online. OpenShift Online is Red Hat's publicly hosted version of OpenShift Origin, available for the application development and hosting purposes. Next is what? OpenShift Dedicated. OpenShift Origin, OpenShift Online, OpenShift Dedicated is a managed private cluster on AWS or Google Cloud environment. Fourth one is what? OpenShift Enterprise is an on-premises private platform as a service offering from Red Hat. Clear? These are the 4 categories, 4 different flavors of OpenShift. Okay. So now let me explain. Let me take to the architecture first. This is the architecture of OpenShift. Okay. So what exactly, I just compare the Docker, then I explain this architecture, then I will explain something about the Kubernetes. So Docker, those people are exposed to Docker. What exactly this Docker? Docker means what? Now you cannot say Docker is a containers. Docker is a tool that is used to manage the containerized application. Okay, so now in the latest version, we are not depend on any OpenShift container runtime initiative. So what is Docker? I am just telling, Docker can create a containerized application, or Docker can orchestrate a container. All right, but Docker is inherently not capable, okay, not capable of orchestrating containerized application. Docker is inherently not capable of orchestrating containerized application. Means if you require a Tomcat application, if you require a Tomcat application and a database server also working together in a cluster, inherently Docker by itself, okay, was not capable of that you can do the auto scaling. Okay, so later the Docker come with a solution of Docker Swarm, but remember that Docker Swarm is not again a professional solution as such. So the if the container die means container stopped, or container sometimes it is deleted by mistakenly. I delete my container, image is not found, I delete my container. So when the container die, we expect that automatically a new container will come up, because the necessities of our enterprise class application is what? Without any downtime, my application is running on 24/7. Okay, so if my application dead, automatically one new application is scale up. Okay, so how the things are possible? Docker has not capable of auto healing, the big disadvantages of Docker. So it cannot, multiple replicas cannot do auto scaling with the help of Docker. So solution is what? Solution is Kubernetes, and OpenShift itself a Kubernetes distribution. Okay, OpenShift is itself a Kubernetes distribution. Let me take to that slide. What exactly OpenShift is? Okay, what are the components of OpenShift? An OpenShift cluster is a set of physical or virtual machine and other infrastructure resources that are needed to run our containerized application. Okay, so remember that in our OpenShift, 2 types of node are there. One is called the master node, second one is called as the worker node. One is the master node, second one is the worker node. Master node, what it will do? Host the Kubernetes control plane components and manage the cluster. Worker node is what? Run the containerized application. Let me show you that picture, elaborative picture, and I will explain each component. Let me move to the next slide. Okay, so in the OpenShift architecture, two types of nodes are there. What are the two types of node? One is OpenShift master, another one is OpenShift worker node. Master node and worker node. So what exactly this master node? What is worker nodes? Okay, so see here, this is first master node is here, below that worker node are there. Master node is where you have to install the OpenShift, where you have to install the OpenShift. In the master node, you have to run 4 components. What are the 4 components running in the master node? Scheduler, controller, etcd, and API server. There are the 4 components running in the OpenShift master node are scheduler, controller, etcd, and API server. So what is API server? So this Kube API server, why I am telling the Kubernetes, I am teaching OpenShift. Why I am telling Kubernetes? What is the difference between OpenShift and Kubernetes? I will tell, because already I said OpenShift is nothing but the Kubernetes distribution. All the resources of Kubernetes we are using in OpenShift. Okay, so in the OpenShift master node, API server. What is the API server will do? API server is responsible for orchestrating all the operation in the cluster. It exposes the Kubernetes API, which is used by the external users to perform management operation in the cluster. Okay, so Kube API server, if one client connect to my cluster, okay, so who will verify? With the Kube API server. Kube API server is responsible for orchestrating all the operations in the cluster. It exposes the Kubernetes API, which is used by the external user to perform management operation on the cluster, as well as the various controllers to monitor the state of the cluster and make the necessary changes as required by the worker node and communicate to the server. So if I want to deploy one application, okay, so I want to deploy the application means any type of application. As I said, it will support multilingual services. It is a self-service platform. Suppose I want to deploy my application. I want to deploy my application on the worker node. So how this worker node communicate with the master node services? Okay, so who will instruct? Everything is done with the Kube API server. So this API server monitor, okay, this API server, it just monitor the state of the cluster and make necessary changes as required by the worker node, communicate to the server. Okay, our need is what? Our need is everything in the container is container compatible. Okay, like our I can say container compatible, you can say Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge, Podman. Okay, various tools are there. We are not going with one tool, Docker. Okay, so API server is used to communicate with the worker node. Suppose scheduler want to communicate with the worker node, API server, we have to communicate with the API server. Next is what? Controller. Okay, what is controller manager? Controllers are available to take care of different area, like the node controller take care of the nodes if the node is become unavailable or get destroyed. Okay, so get destroyed, and the replication controller assure that desired number of containers are running at all time. Okay, so this is done with what? With the help of the controller. Okay, because I mention is what? High availability. My applications are running. Okay, suppose I am running 5 application, all the time 5 applications are running. If my node goes down, my application goes down? No. Who will take care of my application? controller will check a regular interval. So how controller will communicate with the worker node? Through API server. Through API server. Next is what? Scheduler. In the master, what is the component scheduler? What scheduler will do? Scheduler is nothing but scheduler. Scheduler means schedule. Okay. Suppose now Chandra is coming with an application. My application is required this much of memory, this much of CPU, this much of storage to deploy my application. So you have to tell me where I have to deploy my application. So if I want to deploy my application is 5 GB and in your worker node, your resources is 3 GB. Can my application run? No. So who will decide? Scheduler. Okay. You cannot say my application is running on the worker node 1 or my application running on worker node 2. So scheduler will identify the container need to be placed on which node based on its size, based on its capacity, how many containers are already running in that node. Everything is checked by this scheduler, and scheduler also don't communicate directly with the worker nodes. It will also communicate only through the API server, master API server. So scheduler, how which node, in which worker node there is sufficient amount of CPU, what is size is enough, capacity is there already, how many containers are running, everything is scheduled by the Kubernetes scheduler resource. Then it will schedule your application on which node. So it is identify the right node to place a container based on the container resource requirement, the worker node capacity, or any other policy that we'll discuss. Policy, suppose node affinity rule are there, okay, performance, etc. Next component is what in the master? etcd. What is the use of etcd? Anyone want to share? Someone is working in OpenShift 3.11. I just don't recall that name. Navneet, I think. What is this use of etcd? etcd is a database that stores value in a key value format, means all the resource definition. Okay, suppose if you want to run an application, all the resource definition, pods, that is called pods. I will tell you each and every component when our class is started. So different resources are there: deployment configuration, build configuration, image specification, routing path, services, all this resource definition, all the resource definition stored in a database that is nothing but called etcd. Many containers are created, deleted on daily basis. Okay, so containers are created, deleted, which application on which node, what time it was loaded, etc. All this resource definition we can get the master node etcd. Okay, this is the 4 components of the master. Next I come to what? Worker node. Worker node is what? Where we deploy our application. A quick question here in your student's mind, always it is arising. Can I deploy my application on a master node, or only I can deploy the application in worker node? Can I deploy an application in the master node itself? Can I make a master node as a worker node? What is the solution? Is it possible? Yes or no? What do you people think? Is it possible? Can I deploy any application on the master node? Yes? Just yes or no? What do you imagine? Yes? Yes, Nagendra?
From my experience, it's not possible.
It's possible. Okay, I will in our course curriculum I will show you. We are making intentionally none of the application, no application. I will in the scheduler I tell that none of the application schedule on my master node. Okay, if my master node goes down, because master node control all these things. Okay, so if my master node down, so what I have to do at that time, multiple master comes into the picture. If you are not stopping master node, I cannot, no schedule. If you are not stopping in your master node also, you can run the application, you can deploy the containerized application, and containerized application are running from a container image. Okay, so yes, it is possible, but you don't have, because in our architecture we are restricted that we are making the master node as no schedule. None of the application can schedule in this particular node, okay, at the time of installation. But if multi-master comes into the picture, definitely you can deploy the application in the master node. Means master node is working as a worker node as well. Okay, next I come to what? Worker node. In the worker node, what I am seeing? Kubelet, kubeproxy, okay, Docker containers, kubelet, kubeproxy, Docker container. So what exactly this kubelet? So kubelet is an agent that runs on each worker node. Kubelet is an agent that runs on each worker node in a cluster. It listens the instruction from whom? From the Kube API server, master API server, you can say. So it is a agent run in each worker node. Suppose in my picture it is 2 worker node. How many worker nodes are possible? This is one interview question. How many worker node in a cluster is possible? Inside each worker node, how many pods, how many container, how many application I can run? This is another interview question. So in picture, one master, 2 worker node. Don't assume that 2 worker node. 5,000 worker nodes possible according to your resources. Okay. So in the worker node, kubelet is running. In each worker node, there is a component is running called kubelet. So kubelet is an agent that runs in each worker node, which will listen the instruction from the Kube API server, deploy and destroy the container on the node when it is required. And Kube API server also fetch the status report periodically from the kubelet to monitor the status of the node. Okay, which node goes down for maintenance? I am doing the version change. So at a time, I don't make all the node down. In my node, lots of applications are running. Lot of containerized applications are running. So how to do? Okay, so how I shift? Okay, how I shift my application? My application means applications are running on the pods. How I switch that one? How I will monitor? So with the help of kubelet agent, the Kube API server fetch the information, fetch the status report periodically from the kubelet to monitor the status of the worker node. Okay, so next here it is mentioned what? Kubeproxy. Kubelet is nothing but the agent to communicate between the master node and worker node. Okay, it just listen the instruction from the Kube API server. Suppose one request is coming by a client, one request is coming. My application is running, this much resources is required. This is a PHP application or HTTP application or any application. So first API server tell the controller, you have to communicate with the worker node. Scheduler, it will check where the size is enough, capacity is there, okay, for this application to schedule on which worker node. Then API server communicate with the worker node. Hey, one request is coming. This is the resources. This application is running here. So it will give the status report. Already this much of application running in my worker node. Okay, you can run it now. So this way kubelet is just work as a agent. What is kubeproxy? Kubeproxy is to communicate between worker node to worker node. I want to communicate. Okay, some applications are here and some of my applications are running on the other worker node. How I will communicate? This is coming with the networking part. We have to discuss the software defined networking. Okay, the how the load is balanced. If lot of application, thousand of applications are running, how we will communicate? So this is nothing but done with the kube proxy. Okay, done with the kube proxy. Next is what? Below this, Docker. Now you forget the Docker, because not only OpenShift 4 up to OpenShift 3.11, we are getting the container images from the local registry or from any private or public registry. Public registry in the sense where the container images are available, docker.io, registry.redhat.io. Okay, so from there we are getting the images using the Docker. Okay, now OpenShift 4 onwards, OpenShift 4.x onwards. Now we are discussing OpenShift 4.5 course. So what the things is coming? Open Container Initiative. Okay, OpenShift 4.x support Open Container Initiative. If your organization are using Docker, no problem. It will support the Podman, Rocket, Drawbridge, Alexi, various container initiative tool is there. Okay, so from where you can get the images, and like similar way Docker, you can use the Podman command. Okay, so I will explain what exactly. Anyone know what exactly Podman? Okay, I will tell that part. Okay, so now there is no dependency, only we have to work in Docker. So in this picture, if you can see here. So now let me minimize a bit. Yes, this one. This is not a clear picture, I think. So yes, so now what we are doing, we are using the Open Container Initiative. Okay, Open Container Initiative means Docker we can use. Your organization might be use Rocket, Drawbridge, Alexi, anything it can support. Okay, anything in it can support. Next is what? How my application is running? How my application is running? With the help of, that is nothing but my containerized applications are running. That is called what? Pod. Okay, that is called what? Where my application is running. So in the worker node, multiple pods are running. Pod is nothing but inside your pod, inside that single unit, you can run a single container as well as multiple container. Clear? So this is the overall idea what exactly the OpenShift architecture shows you. Is it fine? Yes. Yes. Shall we proceed next? Okay, I get some chat messages. Let me check once. Okay, thank you. Okay, if you have any query also, please raise me. Okay, so now what is the I understand some components here. Okay, scheduler is there, controller is there, etcd is there, and I am telling Kubernetes resources, Kubernetes kube API server, Kubernetes scheduler, Kubernetes etcd resource definition, kube proxy, kubelet. So what is Kubernetes? And why we learn OpenShift? We have to directly go for the Kubernetes. What is the difference between OpenShift and Kubernetes? First, we understand the difference is why Docker is not giving the professional support. It is not capable of auto healing. Okay, it is cannot auto scaling. If my node goes down, okay, if my application stopped at any time, it cannot recreate one more application from my replica. So these are the challenges I can get from the Docker. So next, what is Kubernetes and what is OpenShift. In this picture, I am seeing Kube proxy, Kube API server, kubectl command. All the resources are Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is an orchestration service. Orchestration means what? That makes it easier for you to deploy, manage, and scale container based application across a cluster of container hosts. It helps to manage the DNS update, means networking part. DNS updates when you start a new container, it helps redirect the traffic to your container using a load balancer. If three of the application is running, three HTTP application is running, some application is hello world program, some application is ABC or XYZ program, some application is some other program. Client requirement is connect to the containerized application hello world program. So how I will reach out? I have to communicate with the, as a client I can communicate with the master node. Kube API server, how it will take me? Scheduler will tell that, okay, HTTP applications are running. But how I know which HTTP application I want? Hello world program or any other application? So the Kubernetes is an orchestration service. Kubernetes is an orchestration service. It makes easier for you to deploy, manage, and scale the container application across the container of host. Okay, across a cluster of container host. It helps manage DNS updates. Okay, when your new when you start a new container, it helps redirect the traffic to your container using a load balancer. That we will go in a deep dive on our course curriculum. Because networking is a vast chapter, we have to understand, not in this demo session. But this Kubernetes do what? It will redirect the traffic to your container using a load balancer, which also allow you to scale up and scale down number of containers, providing a service manually or automatically. Auto scale up, scaling on demand. When my job is 5 application is running, means inside my cluster, in my cluster, 24 into 7, 5 applications are running. If any application goes down, orchestrating means what? Another application is come up immediately, automatically. I don't care when it is goes down, what is happen, resources are not there, or node go to the migration or upgradation. I want that my high availability. Okay, my application, 5 applications are running 24 into 7. This thing is who will manage? Kubernetes will manage. It also support user defined health check to monitor your containers, to restart them if they fail. Okay, that facility is also done by the Kubernetes. Then why we learn OpenShift? So Red Hat provides a distribution of Kubernetes is called Red Hat OpenShift. So OpenShift is a set of modular components and services built on top of the Kubernetes infrastructure. It add the additional feature. What are the additional feature OpenShift is adding? Such as remote web-based management, remote web-based management, multi-tenancy. Okay, multi-tenancy is nothing but project. Okay, monitoring, auditing, and the application lifecycle management. Self-service instances for the developer. Self-service instances means what? Suppose one developer don't know, I want to use any source control management. Source control management is nothing but what? Git. Okay, so this thing who will provide? Red Hat OpenShift provide. So OpenShift add support for the developer tools such as source control management. Okay, such as source control management means build in integration with the SCM software, like you can say GitHub or you can say Mercury, Subversion. Second advantage is what? OpenShift has built in integration with pipelines. Let me show you that architecture. Let me bring you to that slide here. Okay, so First is a source control management. What is the word self-service I am defining? OpenShift has built-in integration with the pipelines that helps the developer rapidly and consistently develop, build, and test the deployment application. Third is what? OpenShift help manage the container runtime images by providing the built-in registry. Means you cannot use now Docker only. Built-in registry, any container runtime images, okay, CRI, container runtime open container runtime initiative, container runtime images, okay. So with the built-in registry means local registry, or you can depend on the private registry, public registry. It will support Docker, as I said, Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge. Let me show you that one as well. That slide, let me share. What are the container runtime initiative where you can get the images? Are you able to see this one? Is it? Is it? CRI-O, container runtime initiative. Okay. So this container runtime initiative, either the Rocket or Drawbridge or Docker, or you can say your Alexis. Okay. So Red Hat provides. Okay. So Red Hat help and manages container runtime images by providing the built-in registry. Next is what? OpenShift come with the support of software-defined networking. Software-defined networking that provide a network capabilities that is out of the box. Okay, we have to get how lot of application communicate with each other. Okay, so how in one worker node, what are the pods are running, how they communicate with other. So that software defining, it give the support for the software defined networking that provide a network capabilities. Okay, that provide a network capabilities, how to communicate, how we expose our application outside our cluster, how to create the route path, DNS. These all things are done by what? OpenShift. Okay, done by what? OpenShift. Let me go to back my slide. Let me come back to my slide. Yes. Okay, so this is nothing but the architecture of OpenShift. It will support the CI/CD pipeline, but OpenShift is running where? On top of the Kubernetes. So Red Hat provides a distribution of Kubernetes. Kubernetes distribution is called Red Hat OpenShift. Is called Red Hat OpenShift. Orchestration service, management service is done with the Kubernetes. Kubernetes can manage the DNS, Kubernetes manage the load balancing, all the resources. But what OpenShift will do? OpenShift give this additional feature. Now, in the architecture, what we decide? How many nodes are there in the OpenShift architecture? One is master node, second one is worker node, and that master node is called what? Control plane. That is called what? Control plane. Clear? So in the control plane, up to 3.11, okay, up to OpenShift 3.11 version, they are running the OpenShift master node on RHEL 7. Okay, RHEL 7, 7.5 or 7.6 onwards. Now, OpenShift 4 version onwards, the master node is running on Red Hat Core OS. Red Hat Enterprise Linux Core OS. What is Core OS? Any idea? What exactly the Core OS? Master node, we understand that master node will manage, will schedule, and it will store all the resource definition with the etcd. Resources are nothing but, you can say, your image, you can say your service, you can say your you can say your deployment configuration. We will discuss. We can say your pod. But now, what is the new terminology Core OS in OpenShift 4.x version? Any idea what is Core OS? So Core OS is nothing but the, yes, someone is sharing. What exactly Core OS? Core operating system. Because OpenShift 4.x onwards, I am not telling 4.0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4.0 onwards. Okay, the master node must be run on Red Hat Enterprise Linux Core OS. It never run, you cannot install on RHEL 7 now. So you have to understand what exactly this Core OS. Core OS is nothing but a container Linux, is an open source lightweight operating system based on the Linux kernel, designed for providing the infrastructure to the cluster deployment, while focusing the automation, ease of application deployment, security, reliability, and scalability. Means it is nothing but Core OS is nothing but a container Linux. So container is itself a lightweight process, and container processes are what? Isolated from each other with the Linux kernel feature namespace. Container resources are managed with the C group control groups. And how to get the security? With the SC Linux. So now what we make? Master node we are running in a container Linux. Container Linux provide only the minimal functionality required for deploying the application inside the software containers together, with a built-in mechanism for service discovery and configuration sharing. Okay, so inside the container, so it's a very lightweight process. Okay, you can, your application, whatever your application is needed, it can take all the dependency, all the binaries, all the libraries, everything inside that. It is immutable in nature. Immutable means what? You cannot change it. Now someone is telling, if I cannot change this, how I can run my application? Because what are the things you are running? Scheduler, it's CD. What are the master component? Scheduler, it's CD, API server. Okay, all these are nothing but one container. So one is nothing but one container. Okay, so Red Hat Core OS, okay, is a container Linux, redefine the operating system as a smaller and more compact Linux distribution. Traditional distribution, if a package, any package, unused software that leads to the dependency conflict, that needlessly increases your surface of attack. But Core OS run on most of the cloud providers, virtualization platform, bare metal server, and Core OS. One more advantages is what? It will support the container runtime. Okay, all of the Core OS that support the container runtime means, container runtime means it is the popular method of running the container. Okay, to running the container, you can choose to interact with the containers at a low level or use a high level orchestration work, or it will support Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge, Alexi, Podman, any open container initiative. Okay, but worker node is not mandatory. You have to run on the core operating system. At the time of installation, it is core operating system. Later you can change to, if any other worker node you want to add in your cluster, you can make it Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And I'm sure it is 7.6 version onwards. Linux 7.6 version onwards. Okay, so next is what? This is nothing but master node and worker node, and these are the component. It's a self-service platform. Self-service means developer can come with their source code. Okay, so it will give the platform as a service. You can deploy any type of application. Okay, container is a lightweight process. Okay, and it will application lifecycle management. You can see CI/CD support, and it is nothing but Red Hat is nothing but what? It's a Kubernetes distribution. OpenShift, Red Hat OpenShift is running on top of the Kubernetes infrastructure. What Kubernetes will do? Kubernetes manages our cluster component, orchestrate. It is our orchestration tool. It will monitor health check of our worker node. It will have the auto healing capacity. It will scale up and scale down our application automatically. So someone is thinking, if automatically scale up is there, I can run 500 pod. I can create 500 replicas of my application. No, there is a restriction how to set with the resource quota. So we have to restrict for this application. You can create 5 replicas. So how to set with the help of some project, we have to discuss what are the OpenShift resources. Clear? So this is nothing but our OpenShift architecture. So now the time I will share some quiz section as well. Let me check once. Okay. So what is OpenShift? Why OpenShift is required? What is the declarative architecture? And what are the OpenShift resources and driving factors? So next slide is what exactly OpenShift? Now you can say OpenShift is nothing but what? It's a Red Hat on-premises platform, private platform as a service product built around the core application containers powered by Docker. So now it is not powered by Docker. You can say Open Container Initiative with the orchestration and management provided by whom? Orchestration and management. Scheduler will schedule. Okay, it will auto scale their application, logging, monitoring, everything is done by the Kubernetes resources on the foundation of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or you can say Red Hat Enterprise Linux Core OS. Core OS is nothing but the container Linux. Now we know what exactly the container is. So virtualization of application instead of hardware. Okay, so in the virtualization, what we are doing? We are installing one more operating system with the help of KVM or hypervisor or Oracle VirtualBox or VMware. Okay, again that operating system carry all the dependency libraries, everything. Okay, it will put more load in the host operating system. But our container, it's a very lightweight process. Portability is the beauty of container. We can build and ship our application anytime, anywhere, because I can run my containerized application on top of the physical machine, virtual machine, or any public and private cloud-based environment. Okay, any public and private cloud-based environment. Okay, so this is the distinguish. You can see in the picture VM1, VM2. It will install again the operating system services, one operating system kernel. But what container will do? Container means it's a box. Each application carry their own library, own dependency, own binaries, but it will share the Linux kernel feature. With the help of namespaces, it will make isolated of container processes. Okay, container processes isolation means what the isolation it will do? What are the container process isolation you are thinking? Can you tell me? Like, it isolated all the system resources. You can say your process ID, group ID, file system, IPC, network ID, okay, between the host and the container. This isolation is done with the help of namespaces. Okay. So next is that what is our course curriculum and what are the changes, what are the new changes. Okay, earlier we are running in the atomic host, now we are using the master node components run in the container Linux, or you can say core OS. It is an immutable infrastructure. Okay, it's a very lightweight and less surface area of attack. Okay, so if any like traditional distribution, if any package is unused software is there, it leads to the dependency conflict, or needlessly it will increase the surface attack. That is reduced now OpenShift 4.x onwards. Next is So system containers, it is replaced by the Red Hat CoreOS. Project Atomic Docker 1.13 and additional search registry, but now is so now Docker is there. You cannot say Docker is not there. You can use, but as well as it will support what? Any other container runtime initiative. Okay, runtime initiative, in the container runtime initiative means Docker, Rawbeach, Drawbridge, Rocket, LXC, but you cannot say Podman. Okay, Podman is a tool. So if anyone asks what is the difference, what is the difference between the Docker and Podman, why we are moving to Docker, now we are using Podman. The difference is what? Docker one daemon is running, background daemon. You have to manually start that service with the systemctl command. Systemctl start Docker service. You have to change in the configuration file. Systemctl stop the Docker service. But remember that in the Podman, there is no daemon is running. It just work like your yum repository. It just same command. What are the commands you are using in Docker? Same command you are using in the Podman. Podman is an open source tool for managing the container and container images. Interact with the image registry. Okay, yeah, so what it will do? Podman store the local images in local file system. So it will doing avoid the unnecessary client server architecture or having daemons running on the local machine. No daemon is running. No daemon to start, stop, nothing is required like the Docker. And good feature is what? Podman follow the same command pattern as the Docker CLI. So there is no need to learn a new tool set. If I don't know Podman, not required. Just replace the word Docker pull, Podman pull, Docker login, Podman login. Okay. So Podman follows the same command patterns as the Docker command line interface. So there is no need to learn a new tool set. Next feature is what? Podman is compatible with OpenShift and Kubernetes. Kubernetes can use the Podman to manage its container. Okay, so it is compatible. So OCADM command, we don't know. We have to learn in our class what exactly the new feature operator comes into the picture, what exactly this operator is. Okay, and custom Docker build strategy to the builder pod. Okay, now if Docker build command is not there, I don't know how to write the Docker files. Okay, so what is the Podman is managing, but how I can build as a developer, how I can build a image. So we have to use a builder tool. So Podman, Scopio, Builda. Scopio is used for inspecting. Builda is used for build a container image. Okay, and it support OpenShift container platform 4 onwards. Cockpit socket, and it is replaced by QA registry. This is nothing but a image registry. Not only you can get from the docker.io registry or registry.redhat.io. If the image is not available in your local registry, you can get the images from the QA registry as well. So standalone registry installation, so it is not required. QA is our enterprise container image registry. Okay, I will show you how to get the images. Next is what? CoreOS. CoreOS, as I said, it is a nothing but a container Linux. Okay, it is nothing but immutable infrastructure designed to run containerized application that provides efficient installation, operator based management. But I am not explaining operator terminology. This is a new terminology. Okay, I will describe with the use cases when we just start our introductory class in the first session of your discussion, and it will give lot of community driven images and support are there. Okay, custom resources are there that we will discuss in a detail. This is nothing but the just a clear cut architecture. I just second, we can say two nodes are there. One is the control plane, second one is the worker node. Control plane is nothing but the OpenShift master. Okay, OpenShift master. So in the production environment, you can run multiple master. Okay, not a single master or 1-2 nodes. Okay, you can schedule Now you don't say that in the worker node I can deploy my application, in the master node also. How it is possible we will discuss. And remember that the master node is run only on the core operating system, not in any Red Hat Linux distribution. Worker node, it may be the core operating system, or you can use Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.6 version onwards. So Kubernetes, what it will give, the Kubernetes, yeah, in the master node we have to configure the networking feature, logs monitoring, security, storage. Okay, so all these things are, we have to discuss. These all are managed by the Kubernetes resources. But the self-service platform, who will provide to the developer? OpenShift. Okay, who will provide the application lifecycle management, continuous integration and continuous deployment? This is also possible with the Red Hat OpenShift. Okay, so this is all. etcd, what is scheduler? We already discussed. Okay, what is the use of API server? API server master will communicate. And what is the command line utility? Either you can deploy your application with the dashboard in the graphical environment, that is also part of our course, and including that we are using the command line as well, OC command line utility. Similar way Kubernetes is kubectl command. Okay, so this is OC edit, all the things. And what are the advantages, what are the driving factors of OpenShift? High availability, lightweight operating system. Why it is lightweight operating system? Because it is using Red Hat Core OS. Next is load balancing, logging and monitoring, automatic scaling, okay, application management, cluster extensibility. So this each heading we have to discuss with one example, how it is highly availability, if any application deleted, how it will automatically scale, what is core OS in detail, what is the logging and monitoring tool. Earlier we are using horizontal pod autoscaler, okay, for metrics and monitoring. Now it is supporting the Prometheus. Okay, Prometheus is the logging and monitoring tool we can discuss. Automatic scaling, application management, cluster extensibility. You can at any time add a node to your cluster. So these all things are the advantages of Red Hat OpenShift. Okay. So shall we move to our question answer round? So we are skipping the operators. We have to go in details. What exactly operators lifecycle management? In this quick time, I cannot describe that vast concept. I need some example so that graphically I can show you all the steps when our course is going to be started. Okay. So this is the Red Hat OpenShift container platform based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux Core OS, and it support the Cryo container engine, not only the Docker engine and Kubernetes. Red Hat OpenShift Container 4 provides a number of services on top of the Kubernetes infrastructure. What are the services? Image registry, storage, networking provider, centralized logging and monitoring. As I said, Prometheus we can use, okay, as a metrics monitoring tool. Operators we are not discussing as such. I have to elaborate when I will do one more introductory our first chapter. QA, please.
This is Nagendra. I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
You said like 4.x version, we are not using Ansible and playbooks as well.
Yes.
So what is the alternate here?
So by default, Ansible playbook, you are not, what you are using in the 3.11 or 3.9, or suppose I can say 3.11. What you are using two playbook, because that
Yes.
playbook is the default file format that Red Hat OpenShift is support is what? YAML file format or JSON file format. So
Yes.
deploy.run is there. Okay. So some prerequisites are there. Okay. Here what we are using? Core operating system we are using. Core operating system means what? It is a container Linux. Okay, so we are configuring, there is two type of installation method is there. One is UPI installation method. Second one is IPI installation method. UPI means what? User provisioned infrastructure. Everything you have to start from the scratch. Start from the scratch means you have to configure the master node, all the components. There is a bootstrap node is there. Then you have to, once master is done, you have to create the worker node. So, or you can in your laptop for your practice purposes, you can just use the code ready container. Okay, but IPA is what? Your organization. Everything is ready. Infrastructure is ready. Okay, you just run your OpenShift. Install some ready-made commands are there. QA are there, you can say. So you have to follow that KT and installation doing in the fraction of second. But
So
you,
any
as a
file format it will support?
YAML file format.
Only YAML, right?
Yes, YAML and JSON. Default file format is YAML and JSON. Okay. I will show you from where you provide the document cloud.redhat.com. What are the steps? Okay, how I can install OpenShift. I just given in our class curriculum. I will, while verifying the cluster, I will come to that part. Okay.
Once we
But
done the training, we have mock tests also, right? To prepare for the exam.
definitely, because as you people are going with a very good BOGO offer, you are getting your labs. Okay, because now you cannot get that classroom. I can get a machine sit and practice. Now everything is controlled by Red Hat. Red Hat providing in 90 days something, a lab is there, 80 hours of lab. Okay, so when the already my 2 batches I already took, students already certified. I share all the documents to you. No need to worry. If you stuck anywhere, you just ping me. I will connect to your machine and check. And in our training also, when our training is going on, can simultaneously we are getting the lab and practice with the synchronization, because if we don't practice, how we know how to troubleshoot, how we know what are the components. So yes, same time also lab is available. 3 days of training I am discussing and explaining, you people do together with me. Okay, so if anyone stuck, all your lab control with me, I can re-verify. Okay, no, once course is done, I will start my practice. But you have to make a target within 10 days. I have to ready for my certification. But this 3 days training not include your exam orientation. I will schedule a Zoom meeting and we will discuss the exam related challenges. Clear?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Any other query?
No, nothing from.
Yes, slowly I will take exactly. If you are, some students are here freshers, they don't know exactly the container, I will intimate sometimes before our training is start. I will make you comfortable with the podman and docker command, so you can feel, but not required in this, or some knowledge is required so that you can understand what exactly the container image, what exactly this tool is doing. Okay, but in our course curriculum, how to log into the cluster, how to log into the cluster. If I give a URL, can you log in? You have to record authentication, authorization. If Nagendra will develop a project and I just give the admin, Nagendra can delete all the resources. Nagendra can edit. So how to restrict the access? Okay, role based access control. What are the identity provider method? These all things, how to troubleshoot. Because if you are strong in the troubleshooting part, definitely it is easy. And from the 3.9 certification, 4.5 certification is quite comfortable and easy. And for that, what is required? Practice. Day one, I am telling, do the lab practice. Later, you can install in your laptop code ready container, you can practice. But this is what are the lab exercises they give, what are the software you are getting from the Red Hat, all the lab you have to do. Any doubt, you just reach me, I will explain. Okay,
So in that Red Hat lab, can we configure multiple masters?
here
They have
three
much
three nodes are there: master 1, master 2, master 3, and
Oh.
each node is working as a worker node, means anywhere you can deploy the application. I will show you. If I don't want to deploy one master, other two I am deploying as a worker node, how I make no schedule in the master node. Because you are telling that no, in my I just individual master is there, two worker node is there, in master node I don't want to deploy. how to make it non-schedulable. What is the taint toleration part? I will explain. Okay. What is not there in your course or book example also, that example also I am going to show. Any other query? Yes, please. So this training is going to be start on 5th December. Okay. 5th, 6th and next coming Saturday. Okay. So it's the training is from 9 to 5, including all your lab session and with a lunch break also. Don't think that 9 to 5 you have to spend time your big headache. And if it is a new to that, how I complete, can I understand in these 3 days? No need to worry. Okay. I will make you smooth. 9 chapters are there, but for your certification you have to target 5-6 chapters, that's all. Okay. So once from the day one, if you are strong, if you are confident, okay, I am dedicated, I have to wind up this training, I have to do my certification, make a target. And if you are telling okay 365 days is there, I just in the 365 day any day I am free, write the exam. No, you need to practice, because lab is provided for you 90 days, and lab is very important for your practice and crack your exam. All the lab exercises, because without lab exercises you can simply run the command and deploy the application. Okay, if any OpenShift machine you can sit, if I give the access you can do it. But thing is that how to know, the lab script will help you how to troubleshoot, how to understand the networking things, and you can say that pod scheduling, and what is the components of your OpenShift resources. That's all. Okay.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you.
query? Yeah, welcome. Thank you all. This is a very nice session. Okay. Hope you people, if any query you can ask me. Still 5 minutes are there.
No, when can I enroll for this one?
Sir, you can check with the Sojana ma'am or Nityanand sir regarding this. December 5th is the means the course will start. Already 3 candidates already registered. 30 is the last date of registration, because we have to send the your name to Red Hat, because Red Hat is providing it your RHN ID credential, the lab, the book material, everything Red Hat will take care. Okay, cost providing the training. Okay, and one good thing is there, if you don't understand one chapter, you are getting what, one virtual classroom, means one Red Hat Proctor video classroom, video session is there anytime, night, day, free, whenever you free in the weekend. Listen one more time. Okay, I have doubts some in the networking chapter, I have doubts some in the chapter 4, so you can get that video recording also. But that Proctor is a Red Hat Proctor. But still, if you are confusing, no, madam, you have to explain me. Mitali, your job is you have to explain me. Yes, I am ready to explain you. Okay. Once your course done also, you can ping me in which lab you stuck, which concept you are not getting. Okay. But I want that, don't delay, do your certification, make a target. 90 days is enough time. Okay, whenever your lab is expired, before that make a, because you have pre-attempt is there. Another thing is what, pre-attempt is there. Okay, one time you, if in case, okay, till now no one, if exam orientation is done, if you practice properly, no second chance is required. In case second, if you are not crack in the first, you get the second chance as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
30 is the last date for registration for this course.
Okay, I will talk to Sanjay.
Yeah,
Sajid
yeah.
ma'am.
Sure. Sojana ma'am will give the information, Soumya ma'am will give the information, and Nityanand sir. These are the 3 contact person you can contact. Okay. Yeah. So I just wind up this meeting. Thank you. Thank you all.